With their leadership now behind bars, the IRA needed a plan. And the one they came up with, well, it was straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster.
The plan was just so meticulous. It all started with a fella with an American accent calling himself Mr. Leonard, who hired a helicopter for what he claimed was a photography shoot. Once they were up in the air, the pilot was told to land in this remote field. That's when the trap was sprung. Two armed men appeared, took control, and told the pilot that if he followed their orders, he wouldn't be harmed. They made him fly low, really low, following canals and railway lines to stay off the radar, all the way to the very heart of Dublin's most secure prison.
So the escape itself, a flawless success. But the fallout, as the news started to break and the reality of what just happened began to sink in, well, that's just as compelling as the escape itself. Look, this wasn't just a local story that made the Irish papers. It went global. The New York Times, the LA Times, they were all covering it. The sheer nerve of it just captured the world's imagination. But for Taoiseach Liam Cosgrave's government, which had basically built its entire reputation on being tough on the IRA, it was a moment of absolute profound humiliation. And the political fallout was immediate. The opposition, Fianna Fáil, led by Jack Lynch, had an absolute field day. I mean, in the Dáil debate the very next day, they wasted no time in mocking the government for its incompetence, pointing out the irony that a minister who loved using helicopters was now being embarrassed by one. You just couldn't make it up. This created this huge gap between the official reaction and the popular one. On the one hand, you had the government absolutely furious, and they immediately banned the Wolfe Tones' hastily written tribute, the helicopter song, from being played on RTE. But on the other hand, the public absolutely loved it. The song just shot to #1, selling a staggering 12,000 copies in its first week. The escape had instantly become the stuff of folklore. The state's response was, as you can imagine, a massive show of force. A combined total of 20,000, that's right, 20,000 Irish Defence Forces and Gardaí were mobilized in one of the biggest manhunts in the history of the state. The Taoiseach, Liam Cosgrave, went on record saying there would be no hiding place for the escapees. But after all the headlines faded and the song eventually dropped from the charts, what was the real long-term legacy of this incredible escape? Well, despite that enormous manhunt, freedom for the three men was pretty temporary. Kevin Mallon was caught just a few months later at a GAA dance, of all places. J.B. O'Hagan was picked up in 1975. But Seamus Twomey, the IRA chief of staff, the big prize, he managed to stay on the run for over 4 years. He was a constant thorn in the government's side until he was finally caught after a dramatic car chase through Dublin in 1977.